It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is, what is it? It's Wednesday, October the 18th. Good morning. That's the Cars, my best friend's girlfriend, the theme song of my junior year in high school. That's right. Had a girl. My best friend convinced me to break up with her. I was teetering. He said, "You should, man. Get rid of her. Dump her. Come on, man." And then asked her out that night.
That devious rascal.
It was August. School was about to start. We'd had a hard summer. He pushed me over the edge. I broke her heart. And the first day of school, who's sitting together at morning assembly? Yeah. My best friend.
Yeah.
And my best friend's girl. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him right there and I said, "That's ridiculous." And she got a new haircut and maybe I made a mistake. And by October, we were back together.
How'd you lose 15 pounds overnight? Oh my gosh, you look amazing.
Incredible. Who knew what bangs could do, to a relationship?
Sure, yeah.
There was a time when bangs were making all the difference. Oh, thanks, Rick Ocasek, for writing a song about my life 3 years before the fact.
Yeah.
By the way, I still will hear a song sometimes and go, yeah, that describes the situation perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Music will do that.
That's the joy of music, Candace.
Yeah.
You know why music wins every argument? Because everybody's right. Okay?
Yeah.
All right? Like, I'm gonna say I like this team, you're gonna like that team. Look at the scoreboard. Someone wins, someone loses. My favorite band is the best band ever, as is yours.
Yeah.
See, that's the good thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's opinion is valid. Some opinions are more right than others, but there's no wrong opinion.
Yeah. What did Dave Grohl say about that?
I don't know. What did he say about
Make
that?
me a sandwich.
I don't know.
He said,
Well,
I'll have to find it.
did he say,
Yeah.
I don't know?
Although I do understand that my musical taste is hands down the worst of all the musical tastes.
that's a good
Yeah.
way to start.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is key.
I brought my girlfriend to a ska show the other day. And she really,
Really?
on the way home, she thought, we really need to reassess our relationship. If this is what you're going to be doing with your time.
Ska's just fun.
It is, yeah. It is fun. It is a certain group of people that it's like chess players or people that are super into Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
It's kind of a nerdy thing that if you're into it, you're into it, but everybody else does not understand it.
I think ska, the strength of ska was it always even seemed to know, as a musical movement, we're never really going to be that big. Like,
No.
they came out of the gate going, we're just going to be over in the corner. Trust me, we'll just do this over here.
Yeah, the ones that are still making it kind of figured out that you don't need remember when what were they called? The Zoot Suit Riot guys?
Sure,
Remember they
yeah,
all had
yeah.
the suits on and there was a little bit of swing dancing that was going on during the 90s.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah, they figured out that we have to really grab onto the kids that are 14, 15 years old that want to wear those checkered Chuck Taylors.
Yeah.
They hate their parents.
Yep.
We will hook them when they're 15, and then when they're 43, we will make them pay $100 a ticket
That's exactly
to come
right.
and see us
That's
at the
exactly
Varsity
right.
Theater. And that's exactly what we did.
And they might think about putting on a pair of suspenders. You never know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That might have to come out of the closet.
Yeah.
Those things happen. I was and I still am to this day, one of my favorite bands ever is the English Beat.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And their first album, very ska influenced, and then they moved away from it. But they were certainly part of that initial, the Specials, Selector, all these English bands, late 70s, early 80s. And I was 15, 16 going, I think this is kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
And then Back in Black came out, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, too. And then I heard something else. But yeah, for a brief minute there, I thought about it. I remember when No Doubt blew up in the mid-90s, people were like, ska's ready to take over the world. And I was like, that's not really ska.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
That's some ska. That's a touch of ska.
Yeah, that is the equivalent of what country music is nowadays. It's not
Pretty
really
much.
country music.
Yeah.
It's more pop music,
Yeah.
but there's just a little bit, you sing it with a twang, and then that kind of makes it country music.
I think what we should do is, I'll tell you what, let's get some of them Mellencamp songs and just add an extra fiddle.
Ah, yeah.
Make it simple.
Okay,
And get
here's
some of
the
that Mutt
quote.
Lang production.
All right, are you guys ready for
You
this
found the
quote
Dave
by
Grohl
Dave
quote.
Grohl? Yes. That's one of the great things about music. You can sing a song to 85,000 people, and they'll sing it back to you for 85,000 different reasons.
Oh, stop it, Dave.
He's
Grohl, with your
adorable.
positive
love him
humanity
so much.
messaging.
I want to mess up his hair.
Oh,
Me
well,
too.
well, then that's great because then next summer when you go see Foo Fighters at Target Field, Candace, you can sing along for your very own reasons.
Oh, I will.
The reason why I'm singing back "Big Me" to you, Dave, is because that song is terrible. That's why I'm singing it back to you. That's my reason why. All
you
the
have
other
it.
stuff is great, Dave, but man, that song is so bad.
Man.
Did you guys? We talked about this the other day. I think the Big Me. I don't know if we talked about it on the air at all, but how that video, how Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters came from such a weird place that they started out with that Big Me, the Mentos commercial.
Yeah, sure.
Video.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that was
everybody
funny.
went, "Whoa, is this the guy who put out Smells Like Teen Spirit? That
Yeah.
can't be the same guy."
Sure.
And then come to find out, oh no, that guy has not only one or two more great songs in him, but records worth of
Yeah.
amazing music.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, Wasting Light was, I think, that's the pinnacle for me. That's their best record.
What year-ish?
That, yeah, 2011, 2012.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
when they had the I Got Another Confession. No, wait, that's not it. It's White Limo was on that record. Burning Bridges,
I don't
Learning How to
know.
Walk.
Song titles and I never get along.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hear a song. I will phonetically sing it back to you, but I won't know the actual words, and I damn sure won't know the song title.
Were you a guy who listened to more the music or the lyrics? 'Cause
Oh
I
no!
think-
Always music first.
Yeah.
It had a vibe, and lyrics. I didn't consciously. Well, it kind of depends on the artist. Actually, I mean, if I'm, but generally speaking, if the vibe isn't there, if I don't feel something viscerally, it doesn't matter what the guy's saying to me. I mean, because then ultimately, if the music doesn't work for me, then I'm just listening to it's like a beat poetry over bongos, like whatever, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a fan. I'm not a metal guy. Like I hear some things. I'm like, that's good, that's interesting, but just from day one, it just didn't really click for me. And so I would go back and sometimes I'd see a song and I'd read the lyric and go, that's a hell of a lyric. If it was put to any other type of music, I might have appreciated it.
Yeah.
But
An
yeah,
added
no, the
bonus.
music has to be there.
I feel like chicks listen to the lyrics more than guys.
Yeah. That could very well be true.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to my central nervous system. There's just certain bizarre things that flags that need to wave, and if they don't wave right away, I'm not interested.
Yeah, Stone Temple Pilots is always the one that got me with the lyrics.
Really?
Because I would listen to the song, I'm like, that's an amazing song. And then you'd go back and read it, and you're like, because there's a penguin in a hole, and he's been eating chicken nuggets. And what?
Yeah,
what,
right.
what is this, Scott?
Well, my favorite band, the band that is singularly responsible for me actually saying, I think I am going to buy a drum kit and be in a band, was REM. I saw REM in a club when I was in 12th grade or something, or summer before. They just they put out one little EP, 5 songs. Couldn't understand one word Michael Stipe sang on Chronic Town. We got a few of them, few little words, but the mix and then their first album, Murmur, the same thing. The way it was recorded and mixed, it's very murky. It's just like these little random turns of phrase, but you're trying to. But I missed the preposition. What does this mean? Because he's mumbling. And it didn't matter. That band changed my life. I was one way, and then REM came, and now I'm another. And so it wasn't about the lyrics at all. And then 5 albums in, he decides to start singing pretty clearly. And I was like, oh, he actually got some pretty good lyrical ideas. All right, go figure. That's kind of funny how that works out. So yeah, I guess basically I need to have a feeling that comes over me. Like Radiohead, I didn't understand a word of OK Computer. And the first time I heard it, I just sat there going, holy crap, this is amazing. Yeah. That's how it goes. We got a lot we're going to get into today on the show, on the KQ Morning Show. We've got some social faux pas to discuss a little later. But right now, what we have to do is prepare for the Mike Evans, possibly ragging on Britney Spears, Hollywood Report. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, October the 18th. Good morning. It is time for us to go out west and check in with Mike Evans for today's Hollywood Report. Good morning, Michael.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. This report brought to you by Marcus Theaters. Boy, I found out yesterday a lot of people taking advantage of the Tuesday.
Attaboy.
Special $6 Tuesday special at all Marcus Theaters. I'm so glad to hear that. And next week, again, there'll be the special Tuesday $6, and the flowers Britney's movie. I mean, The Flowers of the Killers of the Flowers Moon. There's so many good movies coming out here in the next week.
Okay.
Crossroads is coming back to the theaters.
Yeah, no.
That's what he's talking about.
Yes, it's exciting. And $6? Come on, man.
Come on, man. $6? I got that in change in my
$6.
couch.
$6. Well, let's get to the big news. Yesterday, I said Justin Timberlake was shaking in his boots in fear of what Britney Spears was going to say about him in her upcoming book. Several hours later, after our broadcast, the story broke. Justin had knocked up Britney Spears when they were dating. Britney was thrilled about having the baby. Justin wanted no part of it, and through his convincing, she had an abortion. Mm-hmm. Britney also talks about how Justin was going out on her. There's a lot more to come from that book. Stay tuned.
You know, whatever. People...
He sucks. He's always sucked.
Yeah, you know what? But the book is already pre-sale number 1. I mean, so people are reading it. So
I have to ask a question. Why does anyone need to know any of that information? Just asking.
People read People magazine. Why do they read Us magazine? They outsell the New York Times. I mean, I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, Britt, whatever. Do you, babe.
Next, back in July, when New Mexico authorities said that they were not going to press involuntary manslaughter against Alec Baldwin, I said, wait a minute, hold on. I think that's going to change. Another big story yesterday morning, New Mexico authorities announced that they will charge Alec with involuntary manslaughter. Could get 18 months. I just have a feeling they're not going to let him skate, that he'll do 3 months or something. What do you think?
I can't imagine what they have, what new evidence they have that suddenly says, no, we actually are going to file these charges. And I mean, involuntary manslaughter. I've said the same thing from day one, which is you're an actor on a set, someone hands you a gun and says, here's the gun, use it. I don't know how you can fault one guy for that. It's a horrible thing. And I am anything but, and I tend to my stomach turns from Alec Baldwin. I don't like him personally. But that said, he's an actor. Someone hands him a gun. I mean, if you want to sue him as a producer, then sue all the producers. If the car's brakes go out on a movie set, do you sue the actor who was driving it when he hit someone on the sidewalk? I don't know. I don't know how that really works. The whole thing to me is tragic, but it seems weird that you're going after, one person as opposed to a whole list of people. Does that make sense, Mike?
Well, brakes failing on a car and a guy having a gun and they say the trigger had to be pulled, not meaning to, but I think they're quite different.
Well, you assume they're both props and you assume they're safe as an actor. I don't think he's trained to determine the safety of a gun someone's handing him or I don't know. I mean, if this is going to lead to no one ever has a gun on set again, okay, I guess, unless you know it's made out of paper. But I don't know. There just seems to be a bit of a personal angle going at one guy here. But, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's going to come out that he was laughing about it and he meant to do it. Who the hell knows?
Oh, I don't think he meant to do it.
No, I don't either. I'm just saying.
Absolutely not.
I'm speculating blindly and wildly here, Mike. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
But anybody out there, if you have a gun, unless you're a bad guy, don't aim it at anybody because they might go off.
There you have it.
Let's turn to a much positive note. When asked what the best thing she's ever done in life, Jennifer Lopez this week said it's being a mother. And the truth is, Jennifer Lopez is a really great mom with her twins.
Okay.
That's a great story. I just love it.
Nice.
Odds and ends, Disney is 100 years old. And while I have not been very happy about the way Disney keeps raising prices at all their parks around the world, you know what? Disney has really changed the world of entertainment like no other company in the history of entertainment. And here are 5 particular categories that prove it. 1, see if you agree. 1, animation.
Clearly, sure.
2, merchandising.
All righty.
3, family entertainment.
Okay.
4, building superheroes and blockbusters like it's never been built before.
Yeah, I had a bone to pick with that nonsense, but go ahead.
And synergy, from characters to films to toys to clothes and a lot more. So I got to say, the world is a happier place because of Disney. So happy birthday for 100 years. Good.
Fair enough. Now,
TV news. when it comes to making documentaries, I don't know what you think, Steve, but in my opinion, Ken Burns is the best of the best.
Sure. Fantastic. I like every one of his documentaries I've ever seen.
And you think back, and it's like he's made over 20 documentaries in 30 years: baseball, the West, Lewis and Clark, jazz, the war, Prohibition, the national parks, the Dust Bowl, Jackie Robinson, the Mayo Clinic up there by
Civil War is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Fabulous. He has a new one out now. It's on PBS. It is called The American Buffalo. Man, it is really sad.
Oh, I bet.
The American Buffalo story and how it involves Native Americans and
Sure.
Oh, but it's must see. The latest by Ken Burns, American Buffalo, is on PBS now. I really strongly recommend it.
Right on. I'm glad to know that's there. I'll see it for sure.
So, what's going on in Minneapolis St. Paul Day?
So far, just you, baby. I mean, you know, we came on the air, we talked about Mike, and then we talked about Mike, and then we called Mike. That's how it's been.
What?
See?
Boy, you better get the show going.
We're trying. Hey, Mike, I played a round of golf yesterday. Played well, hit well, scored well. It was beautiful. I think I'm going to retire. It doesn't get any better.
What'd you shoot?
I shot an 85 for my second round of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I played yesterday and had 3 triples. Going, couldn't keep out of bounds in lakes, and shot a 94.
Hey man, nothing wrong with the 94. You were probably on a much tougher track than I was.
Were you putting that putt again?
Listen. Come on now.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See ya. Mike Evans, Hollywood Report, right there. Okay, what am I nuts? What am I missing on the Alex Baldwin story?
Yeah, you guys almost came to blows there.
He's an actor on a set. Someone hands him a gun. He's holding it, and it goes off. It's clearly accidental, correct? There's not a chance in hell he intended to hurt someone. And again, of course, if somebody should pay the price on this. If someone's injured on a movie set, the production house, there's a lot of people that, take out insurance to make sure things like that don't happen. And there's a lot, but it just seems like everyone focuses on the one guy who, I don't know, maybe there's a angle of this I've just missed.
One of the big things they talked about is after this had all happened, he, was being interviewed and said something along the lines of, "I've done nothing wrong. Don't come after me. I did nothing wrong." And prosecutors don't like it when you tell them that you've done nothing wrong. So
that's a good point.
I think they were really trying to kind of stick it to him a little bit and say, "Oh, really? You think you're bigger than the law? You think you?"
I remember that. I remember those quotes. And reason number 900, I've always been like, what a tool. He just has always rubbed me the wrong way.
He bristles people, doesn't he?
He does. And this is a guy I can say I've seen him in certain parts. I think he's brilliant. I think he's great. When he's got the right part, he's wonderful. But personally, he's like the only guy I know who loves animals that I want to smack. Like he's just making such a, he punched that guy on the Central Park horse buggy thing. He just punched a dude in the mouth. I'm like, that's going to help. Nice job, dude. Anyway, but that's a weird one. I don't know. It's just a horrible story all around.
Yeah. They're still releasing the movie.
They are?
Absolutely they are. Yeah.
Ooh, man.
That's the crazy part. I think that there will be some sort of caveat that whatever money is made from it goes to the family of the cinematographer.
I would certainly hope so.
Yeah, I think there is there's something along the lines. I don't think they would just put it out for profit because that would talk about.
Hollywood would never do that.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, let's before we move on, let's move back. How about a history lesson?
Now listen, everybody.
I am Steve.
And now I'm going to teach you a lesson.
Sports history on this day in 1977. If you were alive in 1977 and sentient on any level, you remember very clearly when the legend of Mr. October was born. The Yankees defeated the Dodgers in Game 6 to win their first World Series since 1962. The most amazing thing I've probably ever seen on a baseball field, Reggie Jackson that night in Yankee Stadium had 3 home runs in the Yankees' 8-4 win. Here's the thing. 3 home runs, hit off 3 different pitchers. He saw 3 pitches all night. The first pitch from 3 different pitchers all deposited into the bleachers. That is outstanding. There's a reason he was Mr. October, and that's it. If someone did that today, the internet would just shut down.
Can't believe his candy bar wasn't more successful. The Reggie bar, it never took off.
I don't even remember ever even trying it. It just didn't. Yeah, it didn't really work for me. But Reggie, say what you want about Reggie, but man, three homers on 3 pitches from 3 different men—that's insanity.
He was also one of the first guys to always speak in the third person about himself.
Pretty great,
I loved
pretty good like that.
about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. He was only topped by Ricky Henderson, who set the bar. In that, as far as that goes.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Wednesday, October the 18th. Good morning to you. Top of the morning. It's really not the top of the morning, is it? I can say top of the morning. I was a couple generations ago. It was O. Gorman. True story. O. Gorman became Gorman. There was an O. Gorman who married an O. Gormanley. L-Y. True.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was an OG.
Just a whole lot of Irish villagers getting together that probably needed to do a blood test first. But hey, we're all here now. We're all okay.
All of our 3 arms. That's who.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
We made it across. I got to talk about this. And the 3 of us here on the show have kids. Candace has goats and Gigi. Close enough. There's enough. You understand the maternal instinct of watching someone get weird with your little ones. There are some serious situations when you find yourself a parent for the first time that you never in a million years expected you'd be dealing with. And I'm thinking of that because we're all reading an article today. A woman in the grocery store, this is in England, she takes her toddler into a market. She's a housewife. She doesn't get out that often. She's got a toddler. She's got a newborn. She's busy, but she and the little toddler get to the market to pick up some butter and things. And the clerk apparently said, "Oh my God, your little one is so cute. Can I give a little kissy face?" And leans over and just kisses her toddler right on the mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Just gives her not a little peck on the forehead, which that would be a violation enough in my world, but just gives her a boom. And then the woman goes, "Did you just kiss my kid on the mouth?" And the clerk goes, "Oh, yeah, sorry. Is that not cool?"
No, it's not.
It's so not cool. I don't even have the words for it.
Yeah.
Like, if I allowed myself to spend any time thinking about this, I would just become consumed with rage as a parent who's had people say and do odd things. And I don't think it's not intentionally nefarious. I'm not suggesting this clerk was doing it, but the idea that people have such a low social understanding, like the faux pas of all faux pas is anything to do with someone's kid.
Yeah.
Right.
And going up and just approaching a child without checking to see where the parents are first, all those things are so weird to me. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, once you're a kid, I knew that before I had kids. If I'm walking my dog and a 3-year-old comes running up, I don't immediately go, "Hey, let my dog play with you." I look around, who's the adult here? Who's the parent here? It's the weirdest thing. When our son was born, he was probably 2 months old. We lived in New York then. We go to a friend's get-together, just a few people at a friend's apartment, and a dear friend of ours, Santo, had a date with him or a girl he was hanging out with. I don't know what their relationship was. But this woman who I'd never met, these are a bunch of people in our 30s, and we are the only people there with a baby. Everybody wanted to see the baby. It was like one of his first days out with our friends. This woman who's with Santa, who I've never seen before, she comes up, and first of all, she talks just like this. "Hello, it's good to meet you. Oh, what a beautiful baby you have." And she looks at me and looks at my wife and says, "I'm going to suck his toes. I always suck babies' toes. It's for good luck. Let me. And she starts reaching her hands. I'm holding him. And he's got a little blanket around him, and she grabs the blanket like to peel it back to find his feet so she can suck his toes. And there's that blink of an eye where I'm thinking, oh, this is a joke. And then it's like, well, even if it is, it's not funny. It's really strange. And then I just pushed her hand away. I said, "That's not going to happen." She goes, "Oh, no, it's no big deal." And I said, no, I don't. Your thoughts aren't really important here. And I looked at Santo and I said, "Hey, this needs to stop or it's going to get real awkward real fast. It's already pretty bad." And he was like horrified. He's like, "What are you doing? You don't suck a baby's toes." "I always do. It's for good luck." And I was like, well, there's about to be some bad luck.
Right.
Like, we got a problem. And that was just the first of many things. It's amazing. If you want to see how weird people are, walk around with a baby. Anybody ever, Tony, you got 2 kids.
Yeah.
Do you have moments where you're like, you can just say, hi, beautiful baby, and keep walking? People just put their foot in their mouth all the time.
Well, the first one I can think of is pretty mild, is when I went to go to vote. And at the end of the polling station, there's someone handing out stickers that says, I voted.
Yeah.
And the guy reached over. He's like, I was carrying Hudson in his little carrier.
Yeah.
At the time, he was just a little baby. And the guy's reaching over. I'm going to give the kid a sticker. Starts putting it on his forehead. And I had to physically grab the guy's arm. I mean, you turn into this ferocious protector.
Well, sure.
When you're a daddy-o. But it was just so odd. First of all, don't put a sticker on my kid's forehead.
Well, yeah,
He's
don't
baby.
touch someone else's human baby.
Right.
It's weird enough when it's Gigi, Candace.
And it was a lie because
Yeah, I
he
know.
didn't vote, so he shouldn't have the sticker.
Well, there's that too. I mean, of course that's the case. By the way, I haven't mentioned Zepp's in England for the week. Rudy Povich is with us. Rudy, you got a kid?
Yeah, my daughter's now 15, and the earliest one I can remember, we stopped at Toby's in Hinckley, which, Steve,
the
if you ever
best.
go up north, man, it's a good stop. For sure. It's a
Caramel
restaurant. They
rolls,
got caramel
baby.
rolls, all sorts of good stuff.
Wait, is that on the way to like Duluth?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. We did stop there.
Oh, nice.
That's the place.
I told
forgot the
old
name.
Steve-O about
yeah,
that
Yeah,
joint.
that's right.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It was awesome.
We were getting some caramel rolls on the road trip.
As you
and,
do.
Yeah, we're hanging out, and all of a sudden, I look over, and a woman just picks up my daughter, who's 4. Just picks her up.
Oh, man.
Picks her up and
Oh,
just like
man.
picks her up and was like holding on to her. And my daughter's looking at me going, you going to intervene here, old man? Like, what is happening? I go, excuse you? And she goes, what? I was like, no, this is mine. And then I reached over and I grabbed my daughter, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw a baby just sitting here, like my daughter was 4 at the time. I saw
Yeah.
a child sitting here, so I thought she wanted to see. So I see the caramel rolls. Okay, well, I don't know. Tell mom or dad. That would be something.
man.
Good Samaritan.
Yeah, and the one that happened recently was I post pictures of my daughter on Instagram.
Okay.
And I've always been fine with it because I've never thought. I know sometimes parents don't want to because they feel like, oh, I don't want my kid's image out there.
Yeah.
I post pictures of my daughter. I'm proud of her. She's accomplished a lot. I'm a proud parent.
Yeah.
And somebody, the last time I saw them, they go, oh man, I saw those pictures of you guys. You took that road trip out to wherever. Man, your daughter. Whew, wow, she is. Man,
come
what
on.
a
No.
I was like, oh, do I have to explain that you don't ever
Really?
say? I'm like, first off, she's 15, you weirdo. You are
Yeah.
27. And secondly, I understand that you mean it as a compliment.
Yeah.
I get what you're, but what is coming out of your mouth
Right.
and what is going on in your head are two
Yeah.
different things.
He
So
didn't
please
wink
don't say
when
it.
he said it, did
No.
he?
It's been a
goodness.
little weird, but
I have a friend who said similarly as every time he'd see our daughter. From an early age, he'd be go, oh, man, you are so dead. Oh, you're going to, the boys are going to, you're going to beat him off with a stick. And I'd be like, hey, weird old man, what the hell's wrong with you?
Starting with you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's something you need to tell me here? Yeah, people get really strange around other people's babies. I mean, and I've had, and again, it's almost always well-meaning. I'm sure that woman did have the thought of, I bet she'd like to see this, but it doesn't occur to her like, yeah, but that's not my concern.
yeah, social cues.
I've had several instances traveling just on airplanes that with our, but I've also seen it where I'm just watching somebody else. And the whole thing about you get on a plane, I hope I don't sit next to a screaming baby. It's an old trope, whatever. And my response is pretty much generally, if you're an adult and a screaming baby is going to ruin your life, you need to work on your life. You know what I mean? Like, you put on some headphones or just realize it's a baby. You did the same thing. But I've watched people really blow up and have issues on planes, and it's just mind-boggling. The one time it happened to us, on a flight from LA to New York, my wife and I get on the plane. She's on the aisle. I'm next to her. It's like 3 seats across the middle. And we haven't even taken off yet. And across the aisle from Rosemary, who's holding our 6-month-old baby, is a businessman in his business suit. And he's got his briefcase, and he's an official business guy. And he looks over at my wife, who's holding a baby who is laughing loudly, granted, but he's laughing. He's just joyous, and he's having a good moment. And the guy says, "Are you going to do something about that?" And she's like, "About what?" He goes, "That noise. Are you going to do something to keep the?" And my wife said, what do you want me to do, put tape over his mouth? And then he immediately gets up in his cockles and he said something else. Flight attendant comes over and is like, sir, what's the problem? All the other passengers around us immediately start going, what a beautiful, happy boy. And they're making googly eyes and they want to come up and see him. And he's smiling. They're peekaboo. Like everybody. Everyone's making this guy feel like a jerk, or trying to, because he was a laughing, happy baby boy. And then he said something else a few minutes later. And it never occurred to him to notice maybe there's a large man sitting with this woman and the baby, and maybe I should shut up. So I stood up and stepped over my wife, and I stood over the guy. And I said, if I hear you say one more thing to my wife, there's going to be two of you by the end of this flight crying and peeing yourselves, you and him. And he looked at me, and I was dead serious. I thought, I will go to jail today over this. And I just thought, what happens to people with babies? What is it? Either you want to hug them and kiss them, or you want to shut them up. Ignore the baby. I look at babies like this. As long as it's not mine, I don't care what happens.
Right. You endure construction noise in your neighborhood.
All the time.
Let the baby cry.
Let the baby cry. It's not. And by the way, on top of that, if you are traveling with a baby, you got to bring toys. You got to bring books. You got to do your job. You got to work hard.
Yeah.
You got to be respectful. I would never allow my baby to cry and be like, it's a baby. What are you going to do? I'd work my ass off to try to help that baby stop crying, to be sure.
Soothe it.
And the same way, the parents who don't do that, now then I get angry at that. It's like, I'm never mad at the baby. It's like, do you not realize that you need to have stuff to do with a kid on a plane?
Yeah. Every now and again, it's only happened once or twice in my years of traveling, but I have seen where the elderly grandma is on the flight, and there's a crying baby. And you can tell everybody is getting very annoyed, but elderly grandma goes, yeah, mom is just beside herself. She's tried every option. She's tried the toy. She's tried the googly face. She's tried the raspberry on the tummy. Nothing's working. Finally, at some point, Grammy goes, would you like me to try? And they hand the baby over, and the baby magically shuts up.
Boom.
Sure.
And you get the whole plane. It's like, oh, thank you, Grandma. Oh, grandmas are the best. Yeah, it's only happened once or twice, but every now and again, and that lady is the savior of the flight. Also, if you're flying from the Midwest, everywhere in the United States is 4 hours. You can't put your earbuds in for 4 hours and just white knuckle it. You probably have a crappy job that you hate. You do that every day for 8 hours. You can get through the 4-hour flight with the baby.
It's very true. And when we see on planes all the time, at least once a week, there's a new video of somebody losing their mind on a plane.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, the babies are the least of our concerns. There's people who don't think that the passenger next to them is real. You've got the guy who's got diarrhea up and down the aisle of a plane. You got people just getting drunk and getting into the bathroom and passing out and puking all. I mean, it's just insane. It's like, who cares about a screaming baby? It can't walk. If you're not sitting, if it's not sitting on your lap, nothing can go wrong. Just move on with it.
I had a drunk lady on a flight about 3 months ago on my way to Austin, and the marshals, everybody had to get involved. And
really?
Yeah, and I pulled my phone out and started to record it. And about 9 seconds in, I felt dirty.
Yeah.
I felt gross. I thought, I'm the problem. I get that she's drunk, but I'm the one perpetuating this on the internet. And I just put my phone away and went, let somebody else do this. I felt dirty about it.
Sure.
That's why, just shut your mouth. You get on a flight. Be quiet, everybody. Just get to your destination.
I'm so the same. I remember, I'm the guy who says that there should be no carry-ons. None. I just know if you can't fit it in your pocket, it gets checked. Check everything. Walk in, sit down, shut up, look straight ahead, and we're going to land. We're going to be at 32,000 feet in an aluminum tube. Don't start a fight. Don't be weird. Just sit there and hope it all ends well. Yeah, I got no time for people who lose it on planes.
Does your wife go mama bear with the kids? Like, if somebody messes with them, like on the playground or outside, does she throw down, or do you have to be the enforcer?
No. I'm rarely the enforcer because I'm talking her off the ledge.
Wow.
No. She goes mama bear at the thought that maybe someone might mess with the kids. I mean, back in the day, they're in college now. They're on their own. They got to fight they got to fend for themselves. No. Rosemary was always the Remember Battlestar Galactica, that show? Those guys with the masks, and they had those sensors that just went left to right to left to right. That's my wife's eyes at a playground with the kids. There's constantly, intruder alert, like that video game. She's just on high alert, and somebody would come over, and she'd get right into it. And I get it, though. I'm a large dude, so generally people aren't going to think they can get one over on me. And she's a small woman, and very different worlds we operate in. Side by side, she's looking at a different planet than I am. So I totally get it. Like, yeah, you got to watch your back, man. Someone's going to want to go talk to your kids. They'll think twice if I'm standing there, and they'll think, oh, I can probably get away with something on her. That's always a mistake. Yeah, there's a little bit of a Wolverine situation happening with that woman. You don't want to cross her. Speaking of travel, and speaking of the weird things that happen on planes, United Airlines is about to upend the boarding process in a way that I do not believe they know what they're getting into. We'll get into that next. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Led Zeppelin's Black Dog, the song that leads off Led Zeppelin 4, their biggest selling album. Kind of an iconic tune. Here's how badass Led Zeppelin was. You got Robert Plant, right? The Viking god, a frontman like none before. You got Jimmy Page, the architect, the genius, guitarist, everybody's short list for greatest guitarist ever. Also, by the way, producing all those albums. Then you got Bonzo, the greatest rock drummer ever. Oh, Black Dog was written by the bass player. Yeah, John Paul Jones shows up. Oh, I've got this part. What do you think of this?
You know that.
Yeah.
Aw, Johnny.
John Paul Jones comes in with that one. Yeah, that's a pretty good band. Oh, hey, there's your mic, Rudy.
What if they shot that down at first?
The way he wrote it, they were originally playing it in a time signature that the rest of the band just could not get straight. What he came in with was really out there, and they were just like, "We got to straighten this out, man. You're killing us here."
I'd like to think that song is written about the road in Bloomington. Every time I drive past, if you drive down 35, there's a Black Dog Road. And for some reason, that always just hits me like, man, were they on the road one time and just like, hey, we broke down a Black Dog Road, and then next thing you know, it's makes its way into a song.
I've seen that sign and had the exact same thought of the song. The title Black Dog is because they were recording out in the country, and there was a black lab just a stray dog that they were feeding scraps to. No, they had the song. You're like, what are we going to call it? And someone said, well, how about Black Dog? And that was like the working title, and they just left it there.
Great.
That's how it goes. What are you going to do? I mean, I would be happy to name things after my dog or any dog. It's nothing better.
Yeah, you're like, well, I came up with this song last night, guys. It's called Pot of Spaghetti. I was eating dinner with the wife, and hopefully 2, 3, 4. There you go.
We were either going to call it Hey Hey Mama or Black Dog. And we took a vote, and Black Dog won. We were talking about bizarre things that people do around babies, and I had a run-in with a guy on a plane once that was just, completely insane to me. Speaking of something completely insane, okay, let me ask you this. Let's say you're on a flight from Paris to Singapore. Let's say it's 13 hours long. You're going to gear up for that. You're not going to just walk on the plane without putting some thought into it, right? Like 13 hours. I mean, so basically what that is, you're going to be on that plane for 15 hours because you're going to board. It takes forever to even push away from the gate. Takes forever to fly, to take off. And then once it lands, international airports, you could be taxiing for a while. Takes another 30 minutes from the gate to get off. I mean, you're at least 14 hours on board, at least for a 13-hour flight, right? You're following me?
Yeah.
So you're going to think about all you want to do. You're going to bring a book. You're going to bring a Kindle. Or you're going to download movies. Or you're just going to trust that the entertainment system on the plane will be enough. You're going to go through all this. What you're probably not thinking about is, what do I do if I'm sitting next to a dog who's farting on me the whole flight?
Sure.
That would not occur to me. I've traveled a lot. I would not have prepared ahead of time for that eventuality. That's just me. But that's exactly what happened. A flight from Paris to Singapore on Singapore Airlines, a couple, they upgraded themselves to premium economy, which is not a giant seat, but it's more legroom and fewer seats. So you get just more spacious, costs a little bit more. The food's a little upgrade, more movies in the chair, whatever. It's nicer than economy. They get the 2 premium economy seats. They ended up moving back to economy because they had to get away from, yes, a passenger's dog that was drooling and farting throughout the journey. The dog was sitting on the floor and was stretched out into this man's legroom. The dog was also very, very gassy by all accounts.
Well, that could happen with a human passenger as well.
I'd much rather sit next to a farting dog than a farting man.
Okay, great. But a dog that's big enough to get in the way of your legroom and that's not in a pen but's just loose and that's just farting up the cabin?
You're mean on airplanes.
Why? But here's the thing. If I buy a ticket on a plane and I'm going to be sitting next to a large dog, I would like to know that ahead of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's just something about getting onto a plane. Yeah, well, okay, the dog's on the floor too, taking up my leg room.
Yeah.
If a man's doing that, I mean, that's not going to happen. Like, dude, get out of my way. What's going on here?
I'm sorry, I just love dogs, I guess.
That's
Sue
great.
me.
I love dogs too.
Liar.
I've had way more dogs than you. Okay, I've been around. I have. I'm 10 dogs old.
Yeah. We all love our dogs. Everyone loves their dogs. Our dogs are always the best. Dogs do not need to be on airplanes. If you're going to go somewhere, you should take that dog, put it in the vehicle, and then drive to your destination. They should not be on airplanes. And the problem is everybody decided at some point when they got the doctor's note, hey, man, I have anxiety. Yeah. Have you seen the way your dog is shivering right now? That dog has anxiety. It's not an emotional help animal.
Yeah.
You need to drive somewhere. You need to not be on this flight.
The quote was, the passenger couldn't have the dog out in the aisle because they couldn't get the trolleys through. So it had to come in further, which meant its head was under my husband's feet. My husband was wearing shorts, and the dog's saliva goo got all over his leg.
Goo.
Yeah.
Saliva goo. See, I would never take Chauncey on a flight because he has so much goo. He sneezes. He's always congested. He's got some congenital issues. I just wouldn't do that. So here's the thing. They complained, and all the Singapore Airlines crew was able to do was say, we've got a couple seats in coach you can take. And so they ended up moving to get away from this dog to go to coach. I'm sorry, man. I am pro dog, but not on an airplane. To your point, the dog is got to be wound up like a top. If I put Chauncey Gorman on an airplane, we would all be so filled with regret. But just on takeoff, he'd lose his mind. He'd be like, he's bad enough in a damn car.
Yeah, I need to know 24 hours in advance that dog has not eaten yet. Like, there is a thing about not feeding. People do it for colonoscopies all the time.
That's very true.
Yeah, you're not allowed to eat for 24 hours.
Yep.
I want the same for the pup. No food for you for 24 hours before we get on this flight.
Indeed. What about this? What about United Airlines? They want to speed up our boarding process, and they are unrolling something that they call WILMA, W-I-L-M-A. It's a loose acronym. It basically stands for Window Middle Aisle. Check this out. United Airlines is going to, on October 26th, in an effort to shave at least 2 minutes from the boarding time. Not 10 minutes, but 2 minutes. You're going to have to know your seat number and exactly to the specifications because they're going to start boarding coach window first, then middle, then aisle. So they're going to say, everybody who's seated on a window, go get them. And so if you're in 21A and you don't know that A means window, you're gonna mess up the system, and that's the problem right there. I have been on enough planes, and I've watched enough people board planes who have no idea where their seat is to realize this is going to blow up in their faces. Yeah. You cannot trust a plane full of people to know that A is a window and that D or F or whatever is on the other side of the plane is also a window, or that B is an aisle, or that C is the middle. Whatever it is, it's going to cause mass chaos and confusion.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we had a society that could pull this off.
No, so far removed from that.
I don't know if you guys have been to a meat market lately, just to go pick up some chops, but try getting people into the habit of pulling the number and waiting their turn.
Not possible.
It doesn't happen.
No.
Everybody knows the procedure is you go in, you pull the number, the little LED number pops up, and when it's your number, that's when you go. Meanwhile, there are people that just cut in line, and they're like, hi, I'll take it, and the butcher has to then, no, ma'am, you have to pull the number, and then they get, angry about it because they've been standing in line for 20 minutes. How do we expect people, and especially people who are sitting together, say you have a couple, now somebody who is sitting window
exactly right.
and middle seat, now you have to break those two people up?
That's going to be the problem. It's like, but we want to board together.
Yeah.
No, that's not how that works.
No, this looks really good on paper.
It looks great on paper. The other way that I know this can't work is people at the end of a flight, when you go to baggage claim, they do not have the wherewithal to stay a few steps back from the belt, which enables everyone to see all the luggage.
Right.
Everybody immediately charges, if my shins aren't touching the metal, I'm not close enough. And then you've got layers of people that can't see the suitcases.
Yeah.
If everybody would stay 5 or 6 feet removed, everybody could see when their bag comes. Step forward when you see your suitcase. That and high-speed trains, and we got ourselves a society. But until then, I'm not buying it.
The luggage thing, this is why I have the gaudiest luggage on the planet.
Always.
It is bright pink with
Yeah.
a palm tree on it.
Yep.
You cannot miss it.
Yeah.
I've had 2 different pieces of luggage go missing. They were both red. They were cloth. They were the whatever you buy the pack. You get the Chubb pack, the 3
Yeah.
The
pieces
set.
of the set
Yeah.
for like $79. But everybody buys that because it's cheap.
Yep.
And then it gets lost and no one can find your bag. This one, I've been hanging on to it now for 5 years. It's beat to hell. But it is
You can see it.
Yeah, it glows when it
Yeah.
comes down that belt, and
Yep.
that's why I have it. Because you're right, too many people stand. There isn't enough forethought for others, so they stand too close to the belt. You can't see it.
It's wild. I've been at airports where they have a yellow line on the floor, like stand behind here, and people just go, "Oh, that yellow line's cool," as they walk over it and go stand up and get their shins up to the baggage claim.
I can't wait to go on a trip with you, Steve Gorman, that requires a plane ride and just annoy you the whole time. I'm going to special request that we have seats next to each other. It's going to be
Make sure you're
fun.
gassy.
Candace, I can assure you, you will not bother me because I am asleep before that sucker takes off. And
Well, now you're just bragging.
yeah, I am bragging. It's a superhero strength. It's the greatest. When people say, "What's your favorite thing about yourself?" Not that they do, but if someone ever did, literally, it's not that I have a wonderful wife and beautiful kids or nothing I've ever accomplished other than this. I sleep on planes. Great.
Me too.
It's great.
I'm
Isn't that nice for you guys?
so
It
happy
is.
for you, but I loathe you.
Yeah, I know.
When you can,
I know. It's the worst.
Yeah, no. I go through those 4 a.m. flights. I'm wide awake. I've got 3 hours of sleep, and I see everybody pass out before the flight, and I'm like, I'm going to be up until we land for sure.
No, I'm rarely am I awake at takeoff. It doesn't matter what time of day. Doesn't matter what. No, I am conditioned when I buckle in that seatbelt, my body, it just all the little checks on, like check off my what do you call it? My fuse box is just all turning down. I shut down everything. I sit very still, and I'm just out.
So what do you care if a dog's farting?
It's just rude.
Yeah. The problem is your
It's
nose
rude.
doesn't go to sleep.
I put on the headphones. I have the same album I listen to every time. For years, I've listened to an Irish artist named Lisa Hannigan. I love her records, but boy, they help me go to sleep.
Oh, I love to conk on planes. You get the white noise and that's the soft, the fan going. You ever had somebody fall asleep on you? Their head
Yes.
cradling into your shoulder?
I absolutely have. A complete stranger, several occasions. And depending on, the vibe I pick up, it's either the just the complete shoulder, like, get off me, or it's a more gentle, excuse me, hey, heads up. You gotta, oh, I'm sorry. But I've had a very large gentleman who probably should have. He was so big he could have had 2 seats.
Yeah.
Leaning right on me, sound asleep, and I was like, no, dude, this ain't cool.
You guys remember the old Real Man of Genius?
Sure.
Great ads.
The person who decided to turn the neck pillow around. That
Yeah.
guy deserves the Real Men of Genius.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, because it has the horseshoe.
Yeah.
But when you lean down, when you fall asleep, your chin goes in
Yeah.
between that little slit. You turn that baby around, dude. It's pillow time all the way till
Put
you
your
get to
carry-on
Cleveland.
in your lap, too, and you can put your head down on that, too. I've seen that done.
Yeah.
Brilliance.
No, it's on planes. It's actually good being me, Candace. You should try it sometime.
Well, I'm going to just have to bring Gigi, I guess, next time, and then we're going to have to eat a bunch of burritos.
Yeah, you and Gigi both. 24 hours before the flight. I want proof of no food.
We have Queen tickets to give away, ladies and gentlemen, and so why don't we do that right now in the KQ talk and text line 651-989-ROCK. We would love callers 9 and 2 to call in. We're going to be giving away tickets to see Queen and Adam Lambert Friday the 27th at the XL Energy Center. Right now, callers 9 and 2. Get in for a game to win tickets. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, October the 18th. Good morning. Zep is in England. Rudy Pavich is sitting in his chair for the week, which has been a lot of fun. Thank you, sir. Sorry, say that again.
I said thank you.
One of these days, I'm going to turn your mic on when I turn mine on.
I definitely said thank you.
You sure did, and I appreciate your appreciation of me. Last week at a stand-up gig, I believe, or maybe it was a Q&A, somewhere in front of an audience, somebody asked Jerry Seinfeld about the series finale of the Seinfeld TV show, and he said, it was an audience in Boston at one of his shows. He said, well, I have a little secret about the finale of that beloved sitcom, and he implied there was maybe something in the works to add to, or an addendum, or another piece of Seinfeld is coming to the public. And, of course, people freaked out. This is one of the biggest television shows of all time, one of the most successful sitcoms ever, a show that pulled the plug on itself at its zenith, right? I think he had the good sense to say, we got to go while we're still great. And brilliantly done. A lot of people hated the actual finale. The final episode pissed people off, but they pulled the plug before it got overwrought and before it lost its edge. All perfectly played. And now, 24 years later, at the mere suggestion that something else might come, there's a fervor. People are like, oh, my God, more Seinfeld. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was asked about it, and she said, I have no idea what you're talking about.
She said, I don't know what the hell he's
I don't
talking
know
about.
what the hell this is. No one else that's been asked has a clue as to what he may be talking about. But I will say, I've seen several links where there are people saying, oh, this sounds like it would just be some kind of a money grab if they did something. Jerry Seinfeld's a billionaire.
Yeah. Doesn't need a money grab.
He wakes up and grabs money. He doesn't need to go to work to do a money grab. It can't be a money grab when everybody on that show was making $1 million per, and it's still in syndication.
Sure.
And it's a zeitgeist grab. It's an attention grab if it's anything, but it ain't a money grab. Safe to say?
Do you remember that interview we had with Larry King? And Larry King asked him if he had been canceled.
I do
if he
remember
walked
that.
away.
Yeah.
He was like, do you not know, Larry? Do you think we were canceled?
It was Jerry's like, he lets a lot of water off the duck's back, but not that one.
So here's my thing.
What's your thing, Candace?
I would love it because I watch Seinfeld almost every day, like a psycho.
Okay.
And I would really, love it. But I think it wouldn't be that great. And I don't want it to ruin everything. I already saw the little reunion when it was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I really enjoyed that. Thought that was hilarious. And that kind of did it for me. Like, let's just be done.
But which is perfectly a reasonable take. But would it ruin everything? Would it ruin anything?
No, maybe not. Maybe I'm being too judgy.
Okay, all right. Let's say you love a musical artist and they make 3 or 4 or 5 albums and they're just amazing, and then they put out that one that kind of sucks. Does it ruin the first 5 albums? I don't think so.
Chris Gaines. I always go back to that. When Garth Brooks decided to become Chris Gaines,
That's
I went,
right.
you know what, man? Standing outside the fire does not have the gusto that it once had once you did Chris Gaines. So,
well, that is true. That makes you rethink everything when he goes alt rock from Australia.
Yeah. So weird. Yeah. The Seinfeld thing, Seinfeld is a guy that is much more motivated by artistic integrity than he is by money. I think money is sort of the outcome of what he put himself through, because Seinfeld is a not funny guy who figured out how to be funny.
Sure.
If you see him in interviews, I mean, Kesha tried to hug him one time and he was like, no.
Yeah. No,
she was like, can I get up? And he's just not, he's a very cold, calculated guy who's very good at figuring out formulas.
Yep.
And works very hard. So I think it's more of an integrity thing. I don't think he was very happy with the way it ended when all 4 of them, spoiler alert, end up in prison. At the end of it, they all end up going to jail.
Right.
And they restart the show almost, where the same conversation at the end of the show is the same conversation they had from the first episode. So I think there's a little bit of I want to redo what I didn't give them exactly what it is
Yeah.
I wanted to say at the end of this series.
How would you tie that up, though? I mean, a show like that, you had to have some kind of ridiculous ending. You wouldn't want it some cliched, perfectly tied up formula.
I fully expected the final episode to be just like any other episode. I really remember thinking at the time, it's just going to be funny and it's just going to end. And there's not going to be anything you could look back on and go, that was clearly the last one. That would have made more sense to me.
Yeah, no lesson to be learned.
No, of course not. Not at all. And they took that idea, no lessons will be, and that was one of their things. This show is a show where no one will ever learn a lesson.
Yeah.
And I think that they tried to run that up the flagpole a little too overtly on that last one.
Ever tell you how much I love you?
Okay, so I'm going to just add one more thing. I don't think it would ruin it. I think that Jerry would ruin it because I think everyone else would be really funny and awesome. But I think that because Jerry used to make me feel a little hot, like when he was young. I don't feel that anymore.
No.
So it's all about your central nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Just
poofy hair.
as long as we've got it all figured out. Thank you for that, Candace.
You're welcome.
All right.
Also,
All right.
this new version of Seinfeld, Kramer is going to be the stand-up comedian who. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Forget about. Sorry, I said anything. Never mind.
We've got tickets to Queen and Adam Lambert next Friday. That's the 27th of October at the XL Energy Center. We would love to give away some of these tickets. We also are going to give away some tickets to the Rumors of Fleetwood Mac performance Friday, October 27th at Treasure Island Event Center. We need a couple of callers. Looks like we've got them. We need a game to play. Tony, do we have a game to play?
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. This is new, and it's kind of odd, and I think it's going to be fun.
The KQ Morning Show presents
Yes.
TV
Or not.
TV
Yes, sir.
TV or not TV.
Oh my God. Is this real?
Yeah, well, the choices are enormous for entertainment consumption now.
Right.
The scrolling goes on forever.
Sure.
We're going to present to you a title and a brief description of the plot. Then you decide, is it an actual movie that has been seen or you can see on a streaming TV platform? Or is it something that was made up after maybe enjoying an edible?
Wow.
TV or not TV? That is the question.
I like it.
You.
TV or not TV? That
Correct.
is indeed the question. Really, really excited about this one. We're running it up the flagpole for the first time. Let's let the freak flags fly. Candace, who is freak number one?
We have. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just really salivating over Jerry Seinfeld.
You're emotional over Seinfeld?
Instagram. Okay. Todd from Lino Lakes.
Todd, good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody?
We're great, thank you, sir. You sound good. You sound like you are wide awake, my man.
Yep, right here though.
Todd is ready to rock. All right, the game is TV or not TV. Good luck to you, sir.
All right, thank you.
God. Number one, the title Freebie and the Bean. Two wisecracking cops pretend to be bodyguards to a suspect until they can get a warrant to arrest him, but they bring San Francisco to a hilarious standstill.
That'd be real TV.
Good for you.
Todd.
Yes. Back in 1974 with James Caan and Alan Arkin.
Todd's like, what, you throwing me straight fastballs down the middle? I'm going to knock it over the fence every time.
Boy, Todd's giggly.
He is.
All right, number two is Uncle Drew. Desperate to win a street basketball tournament, a group of old men are recruited to prove that guys in their 70s can still ball and win the big one.
Real TV.
That's right. Kyrie Irving, Shaq, Nick Kroll, 2018. Pretty recent.
Very nice. Very
Can't fool
nice.
Todd. Todd, number three is the Velocipaster. After losing his parents, a priest travels to China and gains the ability to turn into a crime-fighting dinosaur.
Oh boy, I would say sounds like maybe some edible but real TV.
You think it's real?
Yes.
You are correct. Velocipaster is real.
Wow.
That was given to me by Ryder here in the building.
Oh, my
so,
God.
yes. All right, your last one, sir. Number four, Bravo Hayseed. After a twister wipes out his crops, a farmer reacts to his misfortune by burning down his family home, leaving his family, and becoming a vegan opera singer.
I'd have to say an edible, not TV.
Good job.
Man.
Wow, he nailed all four.
Somebody's got a lot of experience with
Impressed.
edibles. Right on, Todd. Very well played, sir. All right, we're going to put you on hold for a minute, and we got contestant number 2 locked and ready to play. Candace, who is contestant number 2?
Galen from Anoka.
Galen, good morning.
Good morning.
You all right, brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. Can't believe how many times I've tried to call in and never got on. But
well, welcome.
Fantastic. It's great to have you. TV or not TV, good luck to you, sir.
Galen, here's number 1.
And also, I'd like to say, guys, I'm the Margarita King in town, so if you guys ever need a margarita, I certainly would oblige to get you some.
Bring it.
Well, come on by.
Yeah, good to know.
Come on by.
What about right now, Galen?
Right.
How about right now?
You big tease.
Rocks with salt, brother. Rocks with salt.
Well, you can go most Mexican restaurants and find my products.
Very good to know.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Galen. Gracias. All right, number 1, stomach this. After accidentally running him over with his BMW, a politician then eats the remains of his former opposing rival opponent and suddenly adopts his views and philosophies.
I would have to say that's false.
You would be right.
Not TV.
Right.
Not yet, anyway. I've got some ideas.
Galen, number 2, the Doberman Gang. A con artist and his animal trainer team up to teach Dobermans how to rob banks, but getting the pooches to give up the loot is a whole nother story.
I would say that's TV.
It was back in 1972. It became a series.
Yeah.
The Doberman Gang.
I remember the name. I didn't know that was what it was about.
Right. All right, sir. Number 3, Evil Comes to Cheyenne. A marshal brought out of retirement takes on the challenge of taming a town in the Old West, terrorized by cold-blooded talking grapes.
I would say not TV.
Correct.
Bam.
And your last one is Twirl. Pressured by peers and parents, teenage best friends fiercely compete in a national baton twirling contest.
I would say that's TV.
Wow.
Man.
With Aaron Moran, 1981, from Joni Loves Chachi.
From Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah.
You said that as opposed to From Happy Days.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
You wanted to give her
Happy
the moment in the sun. Wow. Boy, Aaron Moran and what's her name from The Facts of Life?
Oh, Lisa Welchel?
No, not Facts of Life. Different Strokes. Kimberly from Different Strokes.
Blair
Joni.
on The Facts of Life.
Yeah, I'm going to Different Strokes.
Okay.
We're moving off. Sorry, I'm thinking about people who got caught up and they're no longer with us. We'll just move on.
Oh, yeah. Tracy Gold, wasn't it? Oh, no, now I'm thinking about Growing Pains. Wow, we're all over the board. Yikes.
All right, let's go back to Joni Loves Chachi. The wrong one is missing. Sorry. Move on.
You're right. Well, he nailed all 4.
So we got a tiebreaker.
Yeah, we do.
Todd and Galen, 2 men who came to compete in the squared circle. We got a tiebreaker. Todd, we're going to ask you to answer first, and then we'll get Galen's answer.
Okay.
All right, your tiebreaker. How far in feet was Babe Ruth's farthest home run?
385.
385, says Todd. Galen, what do you think?
I'm going to go 395.
Wow. Good technique. The answer is 575 feet back in 1921.
Good Lord, 575. So Galen prices rights himself into the winner's circle. He finally gets on, and he comes home a champion. Queen with Adam Lambert tickets for Galen. That's next Friday, the 27th. Congratulations, sir. Todd, we've got tickets for you the same night. Rumors of Fleetwood Mac playing at Treasure Island Event Center. Gentlemen, thank you both. Congrats.
Thank you.
You got it. Wow.
Now I want margaritas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. Now I want margaritas, and there was something else I was just about to. Boy, I had something funny to say.
Seinfeld?
Nachos.
Jerry Seinfeld, nacho. Boy, I could use some nachos.
How
I
about
gotta tell you,
nachos on Jerry Seinfeld?
I still have got these stitches in my mouth from this thing. There ain't no nachos going down these days. It only takes 6 days after a procedure to really lose your mind. I'm starting to snap here, folks. There's only so many protein smoothies a man can drink and not want to smack somebody. I'm feeling smacky.
Do it.
Did I just hear, Candace, did you just say you want to eat nachos off of Jerry
Yeah,
Seinfeld?
she said that.
Well, so I think he's making me a little hot again. I think we're getting back to where we started.
I saw Jerry Seinfeld at Zany's in Nashville in 1984.
Wow.
Yeah, you weren't even born, Candace, so don't get me
Wait,
going
what?
on Seinfeld. That's right.
94?
84.
Oh, okay.
84, baby.
He wouldn't let you
84.
do that anyway. He's very anal. He wouldn't want
How do you know,
crumbs and
Tony?
chips on his body.
Don't ruin this for me.
The name of the
Reed.
show is called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and you're not allowed to get coffee in the car with him. That's how
That's
anal
exactly
he
right.
is.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a very good point.
Yeah.
But I don't want there to be any bad blood around here. There could be tension. Next thing you know, we could be having a weed eater fight. Oh, you know what a weed eater fight is, don't you? I'll explain. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Wednesday, October the 18th. That was Blue Oyster Cult we just heard. Rudy Pavich is sitting in with us in Zepp's chair for the week. Zepp is over in London. Rudy, you just said, you asked me about a movie that I've never heard of before that sounds like something that would probably be up my alley.
Totally.
The Stoned Age.
It was.
How did I miss this?
Yeah, it was. It came out a few, like maybe about 18 months or 2 years after Dazed and Confused. It was kind of like a movie studio's version of, like their rebuttal to Dazed and Confused. Okay, so all these kids from the 70s, these movies are big, so they did a version of that.
Okay.
Where it was just two guys just hanging out like in a vehicle they called the Blue Torpedo.
Okay.
And they would just drive around listening to Blue Oyster Cult, just drinking schnapps and trying to like hang out with girls.
Drinking schnapps.
And it was kind of like just a little slice of history, like or of Americana. It was just like a 2-hour. This is what these guys did on an evening outside of Los Angeles. It's how they spent their time, and it's just guys drinking beers. And as soon as we started playing BOC, I thought, oh, this has got to be a movie that Steve has definitely seen.
No, I
the fact
missed
that,
it.
Yeah, that you hadn't seen it yet, but it's got
Who's in it?
a couple of people you've never heard of. Frankie Avalon makes a cameo in it. I know, right?
Frankie Avalon, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you mentioned the gal's name, China. What was her name?
I just looked it up. China Cantner, who's Grace Slick and what's his name, Cantner, from Jefferson Airplane, their kid.
Oh, sure.
Wow. Yeah, no, I somehow missed that one. You said Dazed and Confused was Dazed and Confused I was all over. And I still to this day remain all over Dazed and Confused.
I'm so wasted.
As horror, probably the worst marketed film of all time, Dazed and Confused. They just slapped that title on there. Couldn't get the rights for the song Dazed and Confused, but they could call the movie Dazed and Confused. And then the poster and the slogan, everything was just like, this is a dumb stoner movie, and it turned out to be a brilliant person stoner movie.
Yeah. I don't know many people that are around our age that don't reference that or speak so highly of that movie. Like, you remember the first time you saw it, where you were.
Oh, absolutely. Shortly after Dazed and Confused came out, my former rock and roll combo, the Black Crowes, we were in LA making our third album. And Matthew McConaughey was not a household name yet, but he was in Dazed and Confused as Wooderson, out of high school a few years, still hanging out with the high school kids. Funniest character in that whole film. He just stole the movie. And we were in the studio in LA, and one of the guys working there said, we were talking about Dazed and Confused. He goes, oh, Wooderson, I just met that guy. He's around all the time. He's really funny. And we put out the message, could he come hang out in character while we make the album? Could we? And I mean, it's funny now because he's Matthew McConaughey, but at the time he's just that dude from that one movie. And we were like, well, he can't have any money. We'll pay him. Like, what does he need? A couple $100 a day? We'll just have him hang out and be that guy. It didn't really, we didn't make it happen, but we wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah, Dazed and Confused was to your point, every generation since that discovers it just adopts it, and there's lines and words and references all over. There are a handful of those movies that come out, and you just played I'm So Wasted. Fast Times at Ridgemont High a decade earlier was the same thing.
Absolutely.
I remember in the theater at both those movies. I saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High right before senior year. I saw Dazed and Confused in 93. Walking out of both movie theaters and fully aware, like, that is an eternal movie.
Yes.
This is only going to grow in stature, as they go. And Fast Times was definitely that as well. Much more slapstick and silly.
Sure.
But the same thing. It was just such a mind-blowing, like there was such a whole new sensibility about things in life and what the world looked like. Everything from just seeing Vans checkerboard shoes for the first time to, just the every bit of that movie. Just as a rising high school senior, I was like, my life sucks. I want to go to California. I want to go to that high school.
Right.
Not just life changing.
It was silly. It was poignant though too.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so.
It's such a timestamp because you get to see everybody who would grow to become, famous actors and actresses and people that just would go on to bigger things. But here they are, just little 17, 18, 19-year-old versions of themselves before they really fully blossom into who they would become.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to look back at certain movies, and especially in the 80s. The Coppola film, Rumblefish. There's a handful of these movies you look back now and you're like, give that casting agent all the money. You know what I mean? Like, there's just certain times when somebody really picked a bunch of winners on that one.
Yeah, speaking of Rumblefish, and I think Nick Cage, right? Was that his first? I believe it was his first film. Was he in that?
I think he was in that.
Maybe not. No, but there was another versions of him were kind of popping up around Hollywood. But he did this movie. I think it is called Staccato. That it's so Nicolas Cage. It's Nicolas Cage being Nick Cage before he was Nick Cage.
Okay.
And that was kind of like the jumping off point where Hollywood went, oh, this guy is wild.
Yeah.
We need to put him in the most wildest roles ever. And I just watched Renfield, the new movie where he plays Dracula.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what do you think?
It just came out, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago, something like that, where the main character is Dracula's assistant, and he's trying to get away from Dracula, who is played by Nick Cage. It is the most Nick Cage movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah, and especially right now, Halloween right around the corner, it's worth a watch.
I saw, my first memory of him is Valley Girl.
That's what I was thinking. Valley Girl. Thank you. Yes. Yep.
Man, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
And just the song alone, just the one movie that had the smarts to put "I Melt with You" as the theme song of the movie. Yeah. And I saw last year, like Modern English was on tour, and I was like, still 40 years on that one tune. $1,000 for anyone who names a second Modern English song. But when you hit it that hard down the middle, you don't need a second song. It's pretty great, pretty tough to top. We were talking earlier in the show about weird child faux pas, social faux pas people do around other people's kids. Candace, I believe we have some comments on the Facebook page.
Yeah, Tammy. Tammy commented about a time when her daughter was 9 months old. They were on vacation, and a stranger came up and said, "What a cute baby. I'm surprised no one has taken her yet."
Oh,
oh my God!
It's funny, abductor.
What are you implying? What are you hoping the reaction to that is? That's a really strange thing to say to somebody. Wow.
She also wrote the lady was wearing all black and offering apples. I'm like, wow, this is very weird.
Wow.
Sarah is a little triggering for me because something similar happened to me.
Uh-oh.
She said, when the kids were little, we lived in Northeast Minneapolis. The Dairy Queen there was walking distance. They were sitting outside, and a guy started making comments to her son about how he was eating his ice cream. She told the guy to leave. He took off. I'm pretty sure he was a bad dude.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
No,
and you had something happen like that to you, Candace?
Yeah, I had the ice cream trucks. It wasn't a random stranger. It was the guy who was driving the ice cream truck, and I got my favorite, which is a Powerpuff Girl ice cream sandwich with the bubblegum eyes. And he said, "Can I have a lick?"
Oh,
no.
It was so scary, you guys.
I actually got a ride. I rode in a Good Humor truck.
Why?
10 years old. Check this out. Living in Maryland. We're about to move to Kentucky, right? It's early September of 1975. And we got delayed, so we're not going to move until Labor Day weekend. My friends, all starting 5th grade in Maryland, are back in school. Summer ends. They start school. I'm still living in the house a few blocks from school, but I'm not attending because I'm about to move to Kentucky, and I'll start school there. So I have like 3 or 4 days where I'm just hanging around my school waiting for my friends to get out of school at 3 o'clock. I'm like, I'll show up at 2:30 and be out on the playground. Like, what's up, Dad? I'm cool. I'm the coolest guy in the world because I'm not in school. And so one day the good humor, and I was the same good humor man all summer. He was like Otto, the bus driver on The Simpsons. He was like a long-haired dude with a cool mustache, a stoner dude. Like, hey man, you want another push-up? I mean, he was that guy. And he came by the house, and I was just leaving to walk to school, and I saw him, and he waved. And I think he actually knew one of my older brothers, or asked if, "Are you Tom's little brother?" But I don't know if they were friends. Mm-hmm. So I recognized him as being a real dude. And I said, "I'm going up." He goes, "Oh, I'm going up there, man. I'll give you a ride." And I'm 10 years. I'm like, "Cool." I just hopped in right next to him, and he went right to school. I mean, it was no weirdness about it, and it wasn't until long after. I mean, an hour later, I went, "That was probably stupid." Yeah. Even then, but hitchhiking was still very common then. Uh-huh. But I was a 10-year-old kid, and I thought, "Isn't there something about like Ice Cream Man? And isn't that weird?" But it was fine.
Your parents almost thanked the strangers for giving you a ride places.
I hitchhiked much younger in life to the pool. It turned out to be a mom picked me up, and she knew who I was. Oh. "Are you one of the Gorman boys?" But I was standing there with my thumb out. She's like, "I'm going to the pool, hop in." But I thought, but in my mind, it was still, I was cool hitchhiking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lived in St. Cloud with my family back in '88. I was in second grade, third grade, and we had, you go take swimming lessons at the YMCA, but the YMCA pool was down that day, so they bussed us all over to the local Holiday Inn. And that's where we were taking swimming lessons for the day.
Oh, funny.
Well, I took a little too long in the bathroom.
No one did a head count.
And missed the bus. So here I'm at the front desk of this Holiday Inn. I'm 9 years old. I'm bawling my eyes out. And this lady goes, "Oh, I can give you a ride." And this woman, I got in her car, and she drove me back to the YMCA where my mom was there. And we got out. My mom was like, "Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. Like, what a great neighbor." Lo and behold, Mom, she said, I could be buried in a cornfield next to Sartell, Minnesota right now. But instead, no, my mom was very grateful to this woman she had never met.
Sure. It was a different time.
Absolutely, wasn't it?
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. What are you going to do? Well, that's actually a question. What are you going to do this weekend, Rudy? Maybe, I don't know, some appearances in town?
Maybe.
Friday and Saturday night, Rudy Pavich, our dear friend, will be at the Laugh Camp Comedy Club, as will Brad Wenzel. And Brad is going to give us a shout, and we'll check in with him next at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Woo! Good morning. It's Wednesday, October the 18th. We are rolling along. Rudy Pavich is sitting in for Zep, who is in England this week. Apparently his passport still works. Go figure. They let him in. In the meantime, also this weekend, Rudy's going to be over at the Laugh Camp Comedy Club, a couple nights, Friday and Saturday night, appearing with Brad Wenzel, who is joining us on the horn right now. Brad, good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
All is well here. I just read that your comedy album, Sweet Nothings, was released on Jack White's record company, Third Man Records. How did that come about?
Oh, that was, so I started comedy in Detroit, and they have, Third Man has a record factory slash venue there. And I did a stand-up show there, and at the time I was going to record that album and then shop it around to the different comedy labels to put it out.
Right.
It went really well, and the guys who run that place really liked it, and they're like, "If you ever want to do something, we should do something." I was like, I'm literally looking for a record label. And then they're like, "Well, we should do something." So I guess they sent it to Jack White, some of the recording of the show I did that night, and he liked the joke about gavels was the feedback I got. Then,
okay.
And then and it was good timing because I think he had just been in there, and they were like, "Well, we're gonna have we have like some comedy coming up," and he had said something about one-liner comics and how he liked that, or he didn't see it as much anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I think when they saw me like a month or however much longer later, they were like, "Oh, we were just talking about this," kind of thing. So it was like just right place, right time.
That's pretty great. Yeah, definitely fortuitous. Although, I was kind of hoping you were going to say I helped Jack bury a body once, and he owes me.
Oh, that happened too, but I didn't.
Oh, okay.
My comedy.
Left that one out of the bio.
Yeah, that probably checks it. So, are you from Detroit, Brad?
I'm from Monroe, Michigan, so about 40 minutes outside Detroit's where I grew up, and then I started comedy there, and I live there now.
Yeah, right on. That's a city that's gone through my family's originally from Detroit, so from a distance, I'm always getting updates. Cousins, aunts, and uncles. Literally my entire life. City's been all over the place, but these days it seems like it's pretty happening. A lot of good things going on in the Motor City.
Oh yeah. I really like it a lot. That's one of the reasons I like living here and stuff. Is there's a lot going on, and there's it's always changing. There's places I was in Los Angeles for like 7 years. So like you go away and then you come back and you're like, whoa, this looks so different, and stuff. But still has a lot of the, they do a good job of like some cities. When they're like fixing stuff up or restoring stuff, they make it look very cookie cutter and ugly. And I feel like Detroit does a better job at preserving a lot of the like historic buildings and stuff like that. So it's been kind of cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. Brad Wenzel's with us on the KQ Morning Show. Brad is at the Laugh Camp tomorrow. I should say Friday night, October 20th, and Saturday, October 21st. Rudy Pavich will be on stage with Brad both nights. You hit the road at 17. What's going on the road at 17 like? I mean, you got to show your ID to get into these clubs. That must have been kind of unusual at times.
I used to have they'd put the X's on my hands and stuff, and then you would kind of go in the bathroom and wash them off so it wasn't so glaring when you went on stage as
right.
like an MC, Yeah. And stuff. And when I was 17, that was mostly local, Detroit, Michigan stuff. And then as you start to feature or middle, the opening act, basically, you'll go, branch out a little bit more to the rest of the Midwest and stuff, and then kind of work your way up the headline. But yeah, when I was 17, it was definitely X's on the hands and stuff like that.
Brad, were your parents pretty supportive at 17 to allow you to go out and do comedy?
Yeah, they were surprisingly pretty into it. I think it was I kind of tricked them into doing that in a way, because I took this comedy class at one of the clubs, the Comedy Castle in Detroit. I did that when I was 17, and they had like a graduation show, and my folks really wanted to go to that, and I was kind of insisting that they not go, because I was like, I'm gonna swear, or I might say something you don't like, or you're not gonna get it. So like, just don't. You're not gonna like it. Don't go. And they really wanted to go. So I think they were kind of desperate to prove they were cool with it. And then in addition to that, I had a really good set, because those crowds are like very supportive and warm. But it was mostly, other than a couple friends and my parents, it was like a room full of strangers. It was probably like 100 strangers, and I did really well. And then so they were like kind of like, oh, he's like good at this. So their first exposure to it was me doing well in front of a bunch of strangers. So they kind of, from the beginning, were like, oh, and I didn't have it's not like I had a lot, I think, going on otherwise. So I think they were kind of happy I found something to do with myself,
That's awesome, because it's so hard especially when you're young, because your parents, they have their expectations of what they want you to be, the doctor, the lawyer, whatever it is. And when you tell them, no, I'm going to go work for free drinks, they're like, what? Why would you ever, I'm 43, and right now is when my family is just starting to, over the last 6 months, starting to support some of these endeavors. and the first time my mom ever saw me on stage was like, 10 years ago. And I'll never forget, I got off stage, and she didn't say a word. we just sat in the lobby with a bunch of other people, and people were walking by. They're shaking hands, and I thought, "Are you going to finally say something?" So I just said, "So what do you think, Mom? What do you think of the show?" And she said, "Well, people laughed."
Oh, boy.
And I went, okay, you know what? I'll take it. I feel like that is a win. But now my mom knows every joke. She shares all my clips. She comes to the
very
shows.
nice.
Yeah, so it's just taken so long. So when you hear it at 17 years old, you already knew what you wanted to do, and your parents were on board with it. So many comics don't get that opportunity with their parents. So good on your parents for really, holding you up.
Thanks. I think the bar is a lot lower when you're 17, too, because it's like if you're, if you mess up or something, they're like, all right, well, he'll figure something out. Where I think the older you are, the higher stakes it feels, I guess.
So Brad, you said at 17 you didn't have a lot else going on. So you weren't the quarterback, the starting all-state quarterback for the football team then?
Exactly. I wasn't particularly athletic, and I wasn't. I got like decent grades, but it wasn't like straight A's.
Right.
And it was kind of like, he found a thing. And then I went to college too. I think that was all they cared about in that regard, especially my mom. I think they were like, you should they just were hoping I would go to college. And I was, a lot of comics, like, they start and they have their first set and it goes well, and they're like, well, this is what I'm doing, the end. Where I was never, even though I was doing well and I kind of got the hang of it at a young age, I was still like, oh, I should probably, like, go to school or something. Like, I wasn't cocky.
Right.
So because I didn't fight him on that, it kind of worked out, because I got a communications degree, which is one of the easier, I would say, degrees to get, so I could just perform every night.
You actually graduated with a degree. That's impressive, man. I thought you were going to say I lasted a semester and bounced.
No. By the end, I was starting to get further and further along, to where I was like, okay, I know I'm doing this, but at this point, I had invested like kind of enough time and money that you're like, I'm getting this stupid degree. So I did that all through college, and I would just perform like 5 nights a week or so, and then and perform on the weekends and whatnot. And then that was their only, I think once I did that, they were pretty much like, well, you did the one thing we asked them to do.
Yeah, right. Brad Wenzel is on the phone. Rudy Pavich is sitting with us here in studio. They're both at Laugh Camp Friday and Saturday night. Brad, you ever been arrested?
No, never arrested.
Come on, get to work.
Yeah.
Stir something up.
They didn't find the body or anything.
Well, that's true. Well, you're bearing badge with Jack White. You're protected. That guy owns the state of Michigan, last I checked.
yeah, that's probably true.
Have you spent any time with him, actually?
I met him once.
Yeah.
I got like backstage passes to a show at the Santa Barbara Bowl, and my wife and I got to hang out backstage and meet him after the show. And it was kind of funny because he was looking. There was a lot of different people, milling around backstage, and he was looking at me like, I know you, but I don't know why.
Right.
And I was like, oh, hey, I'm a comedian. You guys put out my record. I just want to say thank you. And he's like, that's how I know. He was like, and he was like, that was great. Thanks for doing that. And I said something to the effect of, like, I'm just, I'm glad it worked out. I was looking for a record label, and you guys are a record label. And he said, yeah, we do that. And my wife and I say that to each other all the time still.
Nice.
It sounded like the most Jack White soundbite you could get.
It doesn't get much more Jack White. That's very true. Brad Wenzel, Friday, Saturday at Laugh Camp. Have a great weekend here in town, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You got it. I met Jack White. He was 15 years old. First time I met Jack White.
Really?
Maybe 16. Yeah, he was working at the Fox Theater in downtown Detroit, sitting in a folding chair right outside our dressing room as a security guard.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
Little Jack White.
We played a couple nights at the Fox, and both nights there would be the house security, and they have a guy stationed right outside the dressing room door, and he was just a dude. He had the yellow security T-shirt, and he was sitting in a folding chair, and I walked out the first night, and I just saw the kid sitting there, and I said, "Hey, man, you all right?" He's like, "Hey." And I said, you're sitting here all night? He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want anything?" And he goes, "You have." I said, "You want a Coke or a water?" And he goes, "Yeah, take a Coke." So I went and got him a Coke from the dressing room because I'm just a hell of a guy. And I was trying to avoid talking to the people in my own band, of course. And I handed him a Coke, and then he was like, "Thanks." I said, "Sure." And then like 2 hours later, I'd walk out. He's still sitting there. It's like all afternoon, all evening. The second night, he was the same kid. He sat there. And I'm like, "So what do you do? What's this gig for?" He goes, "Oh, I get in to see the shows for free. Usually I'm out in the house, but tonight I got these." And we started talking, and he said, "I'm a drummer." And I was like, "Oh, no kidding." He was drumming in a local band. And then he said, he knew who I was. He said, my dad's first name was Gorman. And I go, "Really?" And then we started talking. I said, "Oh, my folks are from Detroit." And he goes, "Oh." And then we had this whole conversation where he went to church at this church that my parents got married in, and he was still in that neighborhood. Like, we had this whole long, involved conversation. And I leave and go on about my life. I didn't know that there was just this kid in Detroit I had a long conversation with in like 1992. And then in 2006, I'm at the Las Vegas airport, and I'd met Jack as Jack White for years. By the end of the 90s, he was kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And we crossed paths, and I'd met him. I'm at the Vegas airport in 2006, and he comes walking up. We're both on red eyes. We're both flying out of Vegas late at night. And we just start chatting. "Hey, what's up? How you been doing? What's going on?" And then he goes, "Yeah, we're chatting and chatting." He goes, "Hey, man, I don't think I ever told you this. We met when I was a kid." And then he told me that story. He goes, "I was working security outside your dressing room." And as soon as he said that, I went, "Wait, you were a drummer, you're the kid, and your dad's name is Gorman." I remembered the whole thing. I go, "That was you?" He goes, "Yeah. That was really cool of you. Thanks for the Coke." I was like,
Isn't
right
that
on,
wild?
man.
That's like the Mean Joe Green tossing the kid his jersey in the commercial.
Yeah.
It was. And so anyway, I'd like to say to the world, you're welcome, because I think I can take credit for all of his success.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah. He's addicted to Coca-Cola now. That's how he
That's
writes all
exactly
those great
right.
songs.
And now he's giving guys like Brad Wenzel record deals. Rudy, come on, man. Get a record recorded. Let's go to Third Man.
Well, yeah, now that I'm 1 degree of separation away from Jack White, let's make it happen. Did you guys realize what we were talking to Brad, that I was thinking, why does he do jokes about gavels? That's such a weird thing. And then I realized, because his parents loved him and he's married. Like, he's a normal guy who doesn't have this terrible life story. Like, he grew up very normal.
Right.
It's like, that's why I have to do jokes about gavels.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty great. Well, that's going to be, you're going to have a good time this weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Brad Wenzel and our man Rudy at Laugh Camp Friday and Saturday night. That's coming up this weekend. But before that, we might as well take a look back after the break.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Rudy Povich is sitting in with us all week. We appreciate that, and that is for you. I know you are a lifelong Eagles fanatic. We can't play enough Eagles for you, Rudy.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. You know me so well.
I know. That's your guys. Uh-huh. That's your boys. You got tickets for both nights at the XL Energy Center next month.
Can't wait.
Hey, check this out. A story out of Florida. We don't have enough stories from Florida today so far. Polk County. I'm not sure where Polk County is. That doesn't really matter. It's in Florida. The sheriff's department is looking for a guy named Johnny Yates. He's wanted on charges of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and tampering. That's a heady mix.
Well, hell.
Johnny Yates. 2:45 p.m. this past Saturday, police showed up at his house, and when they got there was a note on a dry erase board in a front window of the house. And in big letters, it said, "Johnny Yates does not live here."
That'll fool them.
The cops actually didn't believe that sign and entered the home to find Johnny Yates living there, and he was arrested. So, just a quick reminder: you can do the crime. You're smart enough to get away with. Smart enough to do the crime. You're rarely smart enough to get away with the crime. Yeah. Cops are smarter than you think, and when they see "does not live here" and the word "not" is in all caps, I'm telling you, those cops are smart. They're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like when your parents go, you're 14 years old and you got cigarettes upstairs in a shoebox, and they're like, if I look in that shoebox, what am I going to find? And you go, definitely not cigarettes. For sure.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they find. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's at some point you realize, like, the best way to hide something is to just put it out in plain sight because nobody's going to notice. You get that winning lottery ticket, just put it on the coffee table. Mm-hmm. No one will see it.
I haven't seen a picture of this man, but I imagine he's got to have some. It's the middle of Florida. I looked up where the county is, and it is just a little southwest of Orlando, which is like the heart of Florida, being the most Florida.
That's the most Florida.
I imagine he's got to have some sort of face tattoo. There's got to be something where the cops would go, that's definitely Johnny Yates.
I am looking at a photo of the man right now. There is not, as I can see, a face tattoo. There is a look on his face that suggests he can't believe they caught him.
Yeah.
That's kind of part and parcel.
It feels like every mugshot. Like the look that people give in those things, it's like they're very upset. Well, what did you think was going to happen, man? You drank a bunch of Jägermeister and then decided to throw a chair through a store window. Of course you're going to get arrested.
Sure.
Or there's a smirk and they're super cocky.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. It's, I can't believe I got busted. I'm going to kill this cop. Or it's, well, this is going to be online, so I better look good.
You guys ever seen Tim Allen's mugshot?
Yes.
Oof,
He's got a big old stash, right?
I like that.
Candace, how did you approach your mugshot? You've been arrested, right?
I was probably crying a lot. And,
Have you been arrested, Candace?
Yeah.
Really? Can we talk about it or no?
I made a dumb mistake when I was 21. But,
okay. But you weren't. Hang on, you weren't handcuffed though, or were you?
Yeah, I was handcuffed.
Whoa,
I went downtown, dog.
Man, the whole shebang.
Wow. Yeah,
lesson learned. Tony, any arrests on the personal record?
I've escaped the coppers many times.
Attaboy.
They have never caught me.
That's it. What if we found out there's been an APB on Tony Lee for like 3 years?
That could happen.
We got to find him. They come in like, we didn't know it was the same Tony Lee. He's on the damn radio every morning.
The sign I put up on my door, I ain't home.
Tony Lee does not work here. Wow, what do you know? He's back in the studio.
That's crazy. Rudy, ever?
I had a very extensive record up until about the age of 17.
Is that true?
Yeah, and then I finally got it together. Yeah. No, I got suspended from school a couple of times. In fact, I had friends of mine. This is a very long story. I don't need to get into it. I'll give you the broad strokes. But 2 friends of mine, I went home one night, and then 2 friends of mine stole vehicles, smashed them into Wayside Rest on 35W just south of Duluth, carjacked a guy around Moose Lake, stole that vehicle, and then by the time they got to Iowa, the cops had put out spike strips and blew out the tires, arrested both of them. One of my friends was charged as an adult. He was about 2 years older than me. And was charged.
Holy crap.
He did 8 years in prison. And then my other buddy Josh was sent away to like a juvenile reform. But I was with those guys like 20 minutes before this all went down. And I told them, I'm just not feeling it tonight, guys. I'm just going to go home and call it a day. And I went home. I woke up to my buddy Bill's mom waking me up going, where is my son? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that was kind of the first
wake up call?
Yeah, that was the one that kind of put me in the right direction. And then, but that was, we had quite the extensive criminal record. My mom spent a lot of time taking me to court.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's all done now. It's in the past. You become an adult.
Sure,
all those things go away.
It's pretty amazing just to hear someone say, I had a pretty extensive criminal record. I was out of my system by the time I was 17.
17, right? Yeah. The first time I was arrested, I was 9.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, that was back of the cop car, brought home.
At 9?
9, yeah. Me and a friend. We broke into a friend's house. This was how dumb we were. We broke into a friend's house, and we trashed it, and then called the cops on ourselves. And then I know. Trust me. Look at back. You're 9. So we called 911 and then left the scene of the crime.
Not a lot happening in Hibbing, I guess, for a 9-year-old. You had to create your own situation.
Yeah, and then we rode our bikes around, and then we decided to ride past the house when all the cops were out there. And then we pulled into the driveway, and we were like, we're the ones who called 911. And they were like, what happened? And then, we don't know. There was these guys that came running out of the house. Oh, the look you're giving right now, Steve. That is exactly the look that all the cops gave.
Hilarious.
Like, of course, dum-dums, we know it's you.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and then, of course, I was 9, so I wasn't charged, but my mom, we were living with my grandparents at the time, and my grounding was 1 month in my grandfather's room, a whole month.
Oh, boy.
Day in and day out, from sun up to sundown, I was in my grandfather's room for a whole month.
What's there to do in there?
That's nothing. It is solitary confinement. I literally just stared at like his old war medals.
That's savage.
Isn't it? Yeah, It was brutal.
Tell me about the time you liberated Italy again, Grandpa.
He was in there, by the way. He's like Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka.
He's in bed the whole time. I'll never forget the first woman I saw in Sardinia.
Go on, Grandpa. Yeah, good.
An angel straight from Italian heaven. And then she didn't. I can't go down that little train of thought anymore. I've never been arrested. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like
you're so perfect.
I missed something out. I do have an arrest on my record, but I wasn't. I just took a possession charge to lessen. A bunch of us said, "Oh, that's our weed." So instead of a felony account, everybody got a misdemeanor count on a tour bus. It wasn't my weed, but I was happy to take the hit so that one person didn't go into the joint.
Yeah.
A little town called Van Horn, Texas. It all went down. Wow. And then we got in front of a judge, and she goes, "You're in here for weed? Get out of here." She goes, "I buy weed for my mom." It was the craziest thing ever.
Sure. Yeah, for how free Texas is. Boy, they got a lot of rules down there, don't they?
Ooh, baby.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah, no. It's free for me, but not for thee. That's how that one goes. Why don't we take a quick look back? We do have time, Tony. How about a history lesson? Sports history on this day, one of the greatest accomplishments, one of the coolest, I should say, accomplishments in baseball history. Reggie Jackson officially became Mr. October on this day in 1977. Everybody remembers that in Game 6 of the World Series, he hit 3 home runs in Yankee Stadium to propel the Yankees to a win over L.A. What people don't remember is he hit 3 home runs on 3 pitches from 3 different pitchers. You stand in there, a guy throws first pitch you see, you hit it out of the park. The next time you come up, there's another pitcher on the hill. The first pitch you see, you hit it out of the park. And then the next time you get up, there's a third pitcher, and the first pitch you see, you hit it out of the park. Can you imagine when that third ball was still in the air, what the vibe in that stadium must have been like?
Man. Yeah, they don't build them like they used to, right?
No, my God. What a night for Reggie Jackson.
Also, let's not forget, he was in Naked Gun.
He certainly was, as a robot or he was a zombie, right?
Absolutely. He was a robot and then was sent to kill Queen Elizabeth.
Right. That's exactly right. Wow, Reggie getting some work done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, he was great. Had a cup of coffee with the Baltimore Orioles, and I had a photo of him in an Orioles uniform, and in my high school locker, you had all your favorite athletes and pinups or whatever, and I had that pic, and I used to say to people, "Oh, he's one of the greatest Orioles of all time," and everybody go, "He wasn't on the Orioles," and it was like I would wind people up by saying, "Yeah, he's an Oriole. He was literally there for a half an hour."
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.